in the service industry. Some days you have great days. Some days the customers are awful to you. And you know what? That's what you signed up for. It's fine. I wish people were more polite, but you know what? That's kind of the world we live in. And you know what? Sometimes people call out. Sometimes your managers don't show up. Sometimes you have a sucky manager. That's literally just life. That is the job you chose to have. That is
part of living, in the Better Happens Daily philosophy is being able to know that, the trials of your life come in the most nuanced ways. And for this person, this is the trial, working at Starbucks. For me, it was working at, Chipotle and Qdoba and wherever I worked. And all the fast food joints I worked at, and in sales, all that was a trial in and of itself because it tested my ability to just put up with bullshit. And it's
I was informed about something that the National Church of Iceland did back in 2020. Here it is. Here's a picture of it. Church depicts Jesus as genderqueer with breasts and beard. Here they are, frolicking. Yay, with the children and the disciples. Somebody replied and said, bro, I know that God promised not to flood the world ever again, but now we really need it to happen. Yeah, literally, please. And now this iconic gay publication called Outspoken wrote this article that I screenshotted, but here's what they had to say. Now, according to them, Petur, I hope I'm not butchering his name,
Peter.
George Markin, a media representative for the Church of Iceland, suggested that there was a need for the church to drum up various forms of Jesus in an effort to advocate for diversity, adding, in one sense, we see a Jesus who has breasts and a beard. We're trying to embrace society as it is. We have all sorts of people, and we need to train ourselves to talk about Jesus as being all sorts in this context. No, you don't. Jesus is inclusive as he is. You don't.
So... I don't even know what to say to that. I get the being inclusive and progressive ideology. I understand it. Don't get me wrong. Humanity needs to make progress. People need to make progress. Culture needs to make progress. But you gotta understand that traditionalism is just as equally important. Right? Keeping things preserved is just as important as making progress on things. And I think where the distinction tends to vary is what needs to be progressed and what needs to remain traditional. Religion, I think, needs to stay traditional. However, translations of, certain religious ideologies can change and can be reinterpreted, based on the context of the time, but that's what makes religions very timeless, is that the original meaning, right, the spiritual meaning behind, religious texts like the Quran or the Bible remain timeless, but our reinterpretations of those texts vary between societies and ages. But what I think she's trying to make the point of is that we are making something progressive that's not even necessary. Right? So the image that they showed was just it almost felt disrespectful. It almost felt unnecessary because I could see why it would appeal to a very, small group of people, but what I don't understand is that it just makes the people that follow that religion uncomfortable with what it is you're trying to impose on them in the name of your compassion, which I would even question because it's why are you getting involved in something I don't understand it. I don't get it, but I think the main thing to understand here is that traditionalism and progressivism has its place, and we need to go through the intellectual development necessary to understand when something should be progressive and when something should be traditional.
I stumbled upon this Bible, and I put it in quotes, and I'm using the word very lightly because this is not a Bible. This is on Amazon. It is called The Queer Gospel, an alternative telling of the Bible, and it's on sale right now at $11. You guys can get it. But I had to read you the description. Okay. In the beginning, God created the queer tribes of the earth. This alternative telling of the Bible stands in celebration of all queer human beings everywhere, sharing the truth that the basis of any spirituality is love. God created queer people first and women before all others. It was a straight man who first ate fruit from the tree of Phobos. starting a generational cycle of phobia and hate. It is no longer the Garden of Eden. It is just probably the garden of phobia and hate and bigotry. The church was founded as a societal tool to control the masses, teaching people to be innately ashamed and afraid of their own basic natures. In an act of infinite love, God sent their only child to cleanse God is a they as well. That's great. God sent their only child to cleanse the earth of confusion and fear. Jesus, the genderqueer Messiah, has come to save the straight phobes from their wicked and hateful ways. Will Jesus and their disciples succeed? Can they bring love back to earth and save the straight tribes from their original phobia? I hate people. I'm not even actively religious, and I know that this is offensive. Now, I wanted to believe that this was some kind of joke. This is a real author. And I'm grateful that there is free speech in this world so that I can laugh at this kind of stuff. But at the same time, this is just very sad.
Yeah, so what I will say is, it's a little funny, but it's just disrespectful, the fact that somebody sat down to take the time to, make this, knowing that, it's just mocking something people take to heart and live and die by.
Guys, it's always a good day when the left is triggered by a public figure. And today, that public figure is Ricky Gervais. He just had a new comedy special drop on Netflix. And apparently within the first 5 minutes, he starts making jokes about the trans movement. Kind of fantastic and pretty up my alley. So immediately I was like, cool, I guess I'll watch. And then unsurprisingly, went on social media and saw the left melting down about it. Okay, so to start us off, I think we just need to see a few clips from the special. So I have some here.
Oh, women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. The old-fashioned women. Oh, God. The ones with wombs. Oh. Those dinosaurs. No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? The new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and they're as good as gold. I love them. No, it's the old-fashioned. And now the old-fashioned, they go like, oh, they want to use our toilets. Why shouldn't they use your toilets? For ladies. They are ladies. Look at their pronouns. What about this person isn't a lady? Well, his penis. Her penis, you f***ing bigot. What if he rapes me? What if she rapes you? You f***ing turf whore.
People are so triggered by this clip.
Enough jokes.
He's literally just repeating leftist talking points in a more comedic manner, and they're angry. It's like if we take anything they're saying and throw it back at them, absolutely lose their mind. Genuinely what he's doing. All right, there's another one here.
And we still know so little about the brain. And 150 years ago, we knew nothing. It was all guesswork, right? And everything was just mental. If you weren't a white, sort of heterosexual, married Christian man, right? If you deviated too far, mental. They just went mental, like homosexuality, mental illness, you were put in an asylum for life, or worse, tortured. Women who fell pregnant out of wedlock, mental, asylum for life, right? And now we understand things more. We're more tolerant. I think it's going too far the other way, though, because now nothing's mental. You can't find something that nothing is considered mental. Everything is a syndrome or an addiction or a preference, right? I could have my legs removed, have wheels put on, identify as a pram, right? And if you sound mental, you're a bigot, right? Now, that's a bit hack, that joke now, isn't it? Oh, I identify as a thing then, right? It's a bit old-fashioned, right? But I'm going to leave it in to annoy people, right? Because that's the bit that'll offend people. Same as humanity. I talk about AIDS, famine, cancer, the Holocaust, rape, paedophilia. But no, the one thing you mustn't joke about is identity politics. The one thing you should never joke about is the trans issue, right? They just want to be treated equally. I agree. That's why I include them. You know,
I've seen this weird transition into cancel culture where figures, like Ricky Gervais will get canceled. And I think the reason Brett Cooper is showing this is because she's trying to highlight the point that, part of being normalized in a society as a group, right? Whether, you're gay, straight, or lesbian, trans, whatever it is, the part of the normalization process is that you get the benefits of just being generally accepted, right? You're not going to be, thrown into a mental institution like you would, maybe back in the early 1900s. But you also get what every other group goes through in that you will get teased a lot. Like, for me, I'm Hispanic and Mexican. Mexicans and Hispanics get made fun of and teased a lot for their own thing. One of my closest friends, he's Asian. He's part Asian. And, his, group will get made fun of and teased a lot for, just general Asian things. But I think what happens is that we take somebody's, viewpoint, take it to its extreme, and from that extreme, we paint the picture of somebody's moral character from that extreme perception, your extreme perception of that person's character, when it's not necessarily the truth. I think that's what Brett Cooper is trying to paint here.
So Emily Blunt, I'm sure you guys know her and love her. She is married to the incredible John Krasinski. She's a fantastic actor. She is super British and cute. They have an adorable family. She is a badass who plays incredible characters. She has caused a stir in Hollywood's woke groupthink due to an interview that she gave IndieWire last week. Variety reported on it here. They linked their article on it, and here's her quote. "It is the worst thing ever when you open a script and you read the words strong female lead," Emily Blunt says. "That makes me roll my eyes. I am already out. I'm bored. Those roles are written as an incredibly stoic, yada yada yada." She goes on. The mobsters aren't gonna like that because apparently us women are only supposed to be big, jacked, feminist, hulking women. Because that is true empowerment, not actually trying to be complex or nuanced or embrace our femininity whatsoever.
Don't even think about it.
Now, her whole quote reads, "It is the worst thing ever when you open a script and you read the words strong female lead. That makes my eyes roll. I am already out. I am bored. Those roles are written as incredibly stoic. You spend the whole time acting tough and saying tough things." Blunt said that her latest character, Cornelia, in the Western Revenge series, The English, is far more surprising than what the simplified strong female lead label describes. She is innocent without being naive, and that makes her a force to be reckoned with, the actor added. She went on to say she loves a character with a secret. I love her saying that. "And I loved Cornelia's buoyancy, her hopefulness, and her guilelessness. She startles Eli out of his silence, and their differences become irrelevant because they need each other to survive." I thought that was very cool. Blunt joins a growing list of female actors who have spoken out against the strong female lead label. She-Hulk Attorney at Law, the worst series ever, actor Tatiana Maslany told The Guardian in August that it is frustrating for roles to be reduced to that one strong trait. "It's reductive," she added. "It's just as much a shaving off of all the nuances and just as much of a trope. It's a box that nobody fits into. Even the phrase is frustrating. It's as if we were supposed to be grateful that we get to be that." Literally, yes. It's like all of these Hollywood execs think that making a super masculine bodybuilding female character is just going to eradicate the patriarchy in one swoop. They reduce them to nothing. They reduce them to stereotypes and then throw them meaningless bones like this. Whether it be telling black people that they are not smart enough to vote without an ID, or whether it's something like this.
I do wonder, at what point did Hollywood and politics and our culture kind of combine into this one and done kind of entity? What she's trying to say here, and it's pretty clear, that there has been a wave of strong female lead characters I've noticed in movies and shows and stuff, and not that there's anything inherently wrong with them. It's just that the way they're being portrayed is, in my opinion, a little boring because it's almost all the same thing. And I've noticed this since they came out with the new version of Mulan back in, 2020, I think? Captain Marvel back in, I think that was 2019. Just kind of strong, stoic female characters, which is fine if that wasn't the only thing being portrayed. There's a lot more complexity in the nature of men and women that you can't rely on one single trope to inspire the masses to like your characters. But more so, I think the cultural implications this has a lot to do with the fact that, there's no genuine sense of femininity in these characters, which I find interesting because a lot of, what these ideologists tend to hold is that masculinity is toxic, and so they try to make their female characters more masculine, which is a little bit of a contradiction in my head, but
What the f- I don't get accommodations for being neurodivergent. I don't. Like, I can't use. People get mad at me for using my sick time. I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm like at my wit's end with this job.
Okay, you know what happens when you don't like a job and you feel like you're being exploited or whatever? You can quit.
Can't be that easy. It's that easy.
And everything that this person, I think it's a female to male, Evan, their name is Evan. Everything that Evan is saying is just normal things that you go through in the service industry. Some days you have great days. Some days the customers are awful to you. And you know what? That's what you signed up for. It's fine. I wish people were more polite, but you know what? That's kind of the world we live in. And you know what? Sometimes people call out. Sometimes your managers don't show up. Sometimes you have a sucky manager. That's literally just life. That is the job you chose to have. That is
part of living, in the Better Happens Daily philosophy is being able to know that, the trials of your life come in the most nuanced ways. And for this person, this is the trial, working at Starbucks. For me, it was working at, Chipotle and Qdoba and wherever I worked, and all the fast food joints I worked at, and in sales, all that was a trial in and of itself because it tested my ability to just put up with bullshit. And it's because of that, I can handle situations in the future with a bit of experience.
to do. And to this person's point about him just having a vent session, yes, everybody is allowed to vent. We all vent about our jobs. The issue is that he is publicly posting his vent session and making it everybody else's problem rather than his own because he's blaming the institution of Starbucks, demanding that they unionize at a place where he chooses to work. He's blaming a society that is misgendering him and having too many customers.
Long live the people's revolution!
I have had plenty of crappy managers and supervisors when I worked these college jobs, and I worked at Trader Joe's when I was a waitress, whatever you want to call it. I sure as hell vented, but I did not blame the restaurant industry or Trader Joe's as a company. Compose yourself. Figure it out.
Yeah, a lot of problems you'll experience at work, whether you're in high school or college, whatever it is. It's not the institution itself that's the problem. It's really the people. So a lot of political movements tend to take the route of, being a victim to the system, which is fine. I understand. It's just at what point are you going to get up and say, okay, I need to at the very least change things for myself? You can't live your life without the virtue of personal responsibility. And in so many words, that's essentially what Brett Cooper's trying to say, is that, take personal responsibility. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's actually quite encouraged, and it's part of being an adult. And the way you take personal responsibility is going to evolve and change in so many different ways. But the fact that you get it will be your first step. So please, don't be a victim to your circumstances if you can change them. How are you doing today, friends? I know today's video was a bit more politically charged than you might be used to, but the reason I did that was because I kind of want to dive headfirst into the politically charged climate that we live in our culture today. And I think one of the driving forces behind that is, whether you're on the left or the right side of the political spectrum, I think one of the mistakes many people make is assuming malicious intent. Now, if you watch a lot of Brett Cooper stuff, or if you follow her at all, you can tell she's a bit more antagonizing. I think she does that, one, to, get people kind of subscribed to her channel, but more so because she believes it. But I know that if you were to meet someone like Brett Cooper, or someone from the Daily Wire like Ben Shapiro per se, if you were to meet them and actually talk to them, I think what you would find is that they would be normal people just like you and I. I don't think they're out here to, spread hate and make people feel, judged for their, political ideologies. Obviously, if they're going to disagree with something, you might feel that way, but that's just kind of what disagreeing it right? A lot of people disagree with what I believe in, but that doesn't necessarily mean they hate me as a person. Nonetheless, one of the things Brett Cooper does very well, and I think really ties into the Better Happens Daily philosophy, follows under one of the 12 rules of the Better Happens Daily philosophy, and that is that better is intentional. Better is in what you do and how you do it. If you want to create a better world for yourself, you have to be intentional in what you do and in how you do it. If you want to create a better world for people around you, you have to be intentional in what you do and how you do it. If you want to create a better world for the society we live in, you have to be intentional in everything you do and in how you do it. One of the things that Brett Cooper does pretty well, in my opinion, is she's very intentional with what she talks about and how that ties into the general consensus of where our culture lies. We have this weird, cancel culture. We have this weird, state of our society where politics drives most of the narrative. And I don't know at what point this happened or when it started, and I have my theories, but at the end of the day, I think we forget that we're all just individual people and we're all just trying to make things better, right? Whatever aisle you sit on, right, left, conservative, or liberal, whatever it is, I think the most important thing to remember is that we all have good intentions. But as the saying goes, sometimes the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I think that way of thinking, that kind of mindset, is the reason for a lot of the tension between the two sides right now. Do I think that we'll recover and come to a point where, there's a peaceful state? I think so. I think people are going to be tired of being angry and triggered and just uptight all the time, that they're just going to finally let go. And I think once we hit to that point, we will see a genuine shift for the better. If you like what you saw here today, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. When you subscribe to Better Happens Daily, you are saying life can only get better from here. But without further ado, get out there and make better happen daily.